Over the past few days, I've been listening to Sparky's World almost 8 hour long video, Sonic CD, the Unsung Masterpiece, as background noise. The video is essentially a black guy from the UK sucking off Sonic CD for 7 hours. That's not the point I'm making, though. Near the end of the video, he starts talking about the music. Like any discussion around Sonic CD's music, he talks about the US soundtrack and why it exists at all. During this, he implies the only reason was due to house and New Jack Swing music being associated with homosexuals. And those big bad corporate guys in America hate the gays so much they just had to make a new soundtrack. This got me thinking about what it was he was saying, implying that it was objectively wrong for Sega of America to do this, that this was purely a corporate decision and nothing to do with the American audience. This, of course, made me say aloud what a pile of shit his take was. This wasn't just a corporate decision made because there was a cabal of homophobic bigots running the country. Sega of America made this decision specifically because of the American audience. Now I know most of my viewers are smart enough to understand that there's nothing wrong with this then or today. Back then, and even up to the early 2000s, being gay wasn't something you were open about. It was culturally unacceptable. This was the simultaneous agreement made by American communities. This was typically unspoken. It was a unanimous thing. It wasn't some big corporation or government entity imposing its will on a population. It was the shared cultural values of a community. This is what I'm talking about in this video. Communities versus communities. Of course, in the context of my channel, this discussion revolves around internet shit, but it still applies. A lot of genuine and organic communities have been co-opted and taken over by inorganic entities. To make a comparison to Sonic CD, organic communities are to Sonic as inorganic ones are to Metal Sonic. Fake copies that exist not to surpass or to outdo their counterpart, but to mimic them. A community is something that cannot be forced, nor actively strived for. They're an organic thing that either do or do not happen. A community is essentially a group of families in a sense. These communities then go on to gather into larger and larger tribes. In regards to the internet-related communities, they form organically through shared interest in media or discussions. Under this definition, you could make the argument that technically all internet communities are organic and legitimate, but I would disagree. Of course, it's something I've talked about in many of my videos, but the inorganic hostile takeovers of many online forums and websites all have one driving factor: an inorganic ideology that takes priority over what the original community was about, be it SCP, Team Fortress 2, and now I guess Sonic the Hedgehog. These hostile takeovers always involve a group that push their ideology as the priority, to the extent that any dissent is removed with prejudice. Of course, there will be gaslighting on this, telling me that this just doesn't happen despite me having seen it and actively seeing it with my own eyes. These inorganic communities are more parasitic in nature, where they often don't appear through their own talents or ideas, but through parasitism off the original communities they take over. This is why you see many games remakes inserting the same ideological topics and themes, many community leaders saying the same thing, and corporations all pushing the same ideas. I can hear it now. The corporations are just giving the Western audience what they want. You're being a hypocrite. No, because many of the corporations are putting out financial failure after financial failure knowingly. Many, if not all of them, are being invested in by the same global banking conglomerates. Even Chinese companies like Tencent are involved with the same ideological plague. Clearly, the Western audience not only don't want this shit, but actively hate it. This isn't like Sega of America changing a soundtrack because Americans don't like gay people. This would be more like Sega of America telling Americans that you will like the gays and you will be happy. Something near universal about the inorganic communities is a lack of actual communal work and help. In fact, you see near perpetual infighting and sabotaging. Not saying this doesn't happen in actual communities, but clearly it's to a degree that's strange. Power plays and sabotaging for financial gain. One of the biggest reasons we don't get community updates in Team Fortress 2 anymore is because of this infighting. Even today, the TF2 Emporium is always fighting with each other or trying to silence people who criticize their cosmetics. We could also go back to Creators.tf and Tyler McVicker, and how the hostile takeover of that project immediately devolved into infighting and caused the project to die. The near universal thing about these communities is how unproductive and uncooperative they are, whereas actual communities are always helping each other or someone else as much as they can, and they try to avoid fighting amongst each other. This is something big corporations are exploiting now. Amazon actively hires diverse and multiracial employees. As the more and more diverse workforces are, the less likely they are to unionize and cooperate with each other. Make no mistake, these inorganic communities exist for a reason, and it's the same like any cultural Marxist ploy. To make you miserable, unproductive, and to hopefully make you give up. That's why they do this. If they can convince young people, especially young men, to not even bother fighting back, then they've already won. There's nothing else I can really say in regard to this, other than repeating myself. The best defense against this shit is aggressive and unyielding gatekeeping. Unfiltered spaces where these assholes can be welcomed, but they'll crawl back to their holes when they can't have their 24/7 circle jerk on why their axe wound neo-vagina is a real vagina. When they don't have that perpetually validation, they don't have to confront themselves. To deal with their own emotions, they have to stop running from them, which is why many of them avoid unfiltered spaces, or hire Pajeets and bot hosters to spam said spaces until everybody fucks off from them.
No, you don't understand. We have to make everything gay and lame. Just because, don't you understand?